about what you do. Like, what's your actual
What's my real job? My real job. I'm an interior designer. It's crazy. I've done retail for 20 plus years. Like actually 2023 makes 20 years. And retail was never really my jam. I mean, I was good at it, but it wasn't really my jam.
Like
we had no all clothing. I wish that I could do. Like, right? I could totally do that. It's so funny. My husband said to me the other day, because he's in construction, so he was like, he's looking at me like in this outfit that I had put on, and he's like, most of the designers that I work with, like when they come into these houses, he's like, they don't look all like designer-y, like you look designer. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, I guess it's a compliment. So whatever, go on. So I studied interior design. I actually interned for an interior designer when I was a kid, when I was like 16. It was my second job. I had 2 jobs in high school, and one was working for the family business, which I eventually got to run, and then the other was working part-time for an interior designer. So that's kind of where I got my feet wet. But even like when I was little, like my auntie on my dad's side, on the Lebanese side, my auntie Ida, she used to be an antique dealer, and she had a shop called Antiquities Fair in Chevy Chase. So she would put up she would go do like the antiques show at the DC Armory like once a year, and she would display all of her things. It's like in the early 80s. And I would sit in like my poofy Laura Ashley dress, and I would hand out business cards and say, please buy from my auntie.
Note to self, have children help pass out cards.
Exactly. Like, it's really good. But, I like, at a very young age, I'm like, please buy from my auntie. So I was always surrounded by, like, beautiful things in art history. And she studied at the Sorbonne. Like, she was an amazing person. She was very cool. And so anyway, I sort of always had, like, this love of interiors. Like, when I would play Barbies as a little girl, I would like to, set up all of their furniture was more important in setting up the house than whatever Barbie was going to do. It was
How'd you feel about the Barbie movie, by the way?
Oh my God.
Did it like reenact the childhood?
Oh my God, I loved that. I love that movie so much.
What part did you like most about it? Or, like, was there a certain part that
was there a certain part? One of the parts that I really loved, other than of course America Ferrera's speech, was when she
the part that you like, Lil?
Yeah, when she like fell flat, when she was like so depressed that she was like face down on the ground, and like she just like couldn't move, and it was like, oh yeah, like because you always see Barbies like thrown aside like that, and I was like, there were certain little things like that, or like the way that Weird Barbie would have her legs, and you know what I mean, like definitely I was always meticulous with my Barbies. My sister was like the kind of reckless one, so she had Weird Barbie, and she's a hairdresser now. It explains a lot. She definitely cut Barbie's hair. So,
was
but
it like
it was. Let's just say it's good she practiced on Barbie first. She's really good at it now.
Sorry, and I didn't mean to like backtrack.
Oh yeah, no worries.
I just had to know when you said
Barbie.
Barbie.
I know, because Barbie. I know.
All right, so.
Family, like we kind of grew up in the business. My dad is a designer. Well, my stepdad, but I also refer to him as my dad because I had like 2 dads basically. My mom and my dad divorced when I was 7, and then my mom remarried when I was 10. And my stepdad was just such a big part of raising me. I mean, both of them walked me down the aisle.
Oh, nice.
So, he is a designer and just incredibly amazing. And so when you have creative parents, then it's really easy to be a creative kid.
Yeah.
They really like foster that, and they embrace it and they celebrate it. Like some people would be like, no, you have to go to law school,
Yeah.
Although I realize now I probably would have gone to medical school had I been diagnosed with ADHD as a kid and been given meds.
What would have made you love med school though? Because I've talked to doctors and
there's aspects of it. Like I think I probably could have been like a psychologist or something like that. I think I probably would have gone into psychology.
Isn't that fascinating stuff? I love psychology. People.
Oh my gosh.
The way they think.
Like the Amber Heard trial with Johnny Depp last summer.
That's so much drama.
Okay,
I can't do drama though.
Oh my God. But can I tell you how much I loved the forensic psychologist.
Okay.
Like absolutely adored her. I thought she was extremely professional, and I loved the way that she took such a sympathetic approach to what her diagnosis was of Amber Heard. I really liked how it wasn't dehumanizing. It was very humanizing.
Yeah.
It was very like, supportive, and it was like all the things that psychology should be. And she didn't say any of the things to be mean.
Yeah.
She just was trying to be like, hey, listen, like, this is what it is, and this is how you deal with this.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated her perspective, and so I'm totally fascinated by all those things.
I love it too. We were just having a conversation before you walked in, just about like humans in general.
Yes.
Like, there's so much good to them, and there's bad.
Yeah.
No matter like who.
Yes.
And of course, one of us said, even if it's just 1% good, you know?
Right. Even if, like, can you just get through to that 1%?
Yes. It's like,
but I really think you can grow it too. Like, I feel like it's kind of like love. Like, you know, when you have your first baby and you're like, oh my God, how could I ever love another one like this? And then you have a second baby and you're like, oh my God, I did it again. Like, there's some things in us, I think, like the good that like you can foster, you can grow, you can like really culture it and like grow it.
I agree. And if you focus on it, and especially as children, talking about kids, like, you reinforce that, right? It's like we do the things like you were saying, like your parents were artists and they were very, you know, in that world, they fostered it.
They do. And you really can. You can grow it. You can, like, I've always said, like, you know, you got to fertilize your own yard. You know, it works for marriage. You just put the weed and feed. You put, you know, spread it out, fertilize in that yard. Like, just make it, put all the boosters right on your own grass.
That's right.
And then, like, you will have a beautiful garden. You know, and I definitely, it's that way for many things, right? I think now in like career wise, it's like I keep thinking like this whole term, like, you know how you hear a lot of people talking about manifesting.
Yes.
So like we're in like this huge pivotal change in our lives, like my husband and I, and in our careers. And I feel like I'm like, okay, I just need to manifest wealth. I need to just manifest wealth. We're going to do this. I don't know how, but we're just doing it. And I'm like, okay, so to that end, I'm like, okay, we need a new business Amex. I'm going to get the big one. So I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, this was such a waste of money, whatever. I'm manifesting wealth. It looks wealthy. This is going to be successful. Like, I feel the success when I hold this titanium card. Like, what is it? Like, I better work really hard to pay for that annual fee. I'm like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's like that whole, like the manifestation, or if it's like the fire underneath you, or what it is, but it definitely is putting that into motion somehow. And I feel like it's kind of like that with everything, right? Yeah. If you have a little bit of good and you want to grow it, you can. If you have, you know, your marriage, you want to grow that and invest in that, like you have to put a little effort into it. You gotta, and so it is manifesting in a way, right? Like, and it is.
Like you start to expect it,
yes.
And then it starts to happen. You're like, oh, there's a clue.
Yes.
And there's a clue, and there's a clue.
Like,
and you
start, very validating.
Yes. Correct.
So validating.
Correct.
So yeah, so I've been validating my manifestations.
All right, speaking of wealth, speaking of success, will you lay it out for me and for our listeners of what have you done to get you to where you're at now, and what are you doing to get you to that
the next phase, my manifestation? What is the road to manifestations? Listen, creativity is number one, and you have to do that every day.
You really do. No matter what you do.
It's true.
Whatever your career is. You
so like just keep thinking and keep doing. And I feel like there's a notion of also like keep moving forward, right? So we're going through this huge change in our careers. My parents wanted to retire. My husband wanted to start a business. You know, I am supporting him in his new adventure. Now, I mean, we're design build. Like, he's the builder and I'm the designer. So in that regard, it's like very nice because we can work together, but it's also like a tremendous amount of work. So starting a new business we've been doing we've really just started in the last 2 months, to be honest. We've launched Belotti Design Build, and it just takes like the idea that you have to get a certain amount of things done each week. Like, it's all the baby steps, right? Mm-hmm. So like this week I'm going to register the business with the state. Okay, this week I'm going to do this. And you kind of take those baby steps. And then my husband had to go pass for his Class A contractor's license. And that was like the next hurdle.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, now I have to learn QuickBooks because I never did QuickBooks. Like on my retail side, I had like a POS system, and that's the system I've been using for like 20 years.
Yeah.
So like I've done QuickBooks like back in the day, but now it's like all online. Everything is different. So
much easier, by the way.
It is a little bit easier, but it's also a little bit harder because I'm like, oh my gosh, well, how does this work? And then I'm like constantly calling my accountant.
Yeah.
And so you have to also be willing to learn, right? Like, and change hurts. It's hard.
It does.
Growth hurts. Growing pains hurt. It's hard. There's a lot of sleepless nights, and you just can't be scared. So,
or can I add to that?
Yeah.
You can be scared, but know that you're going to do it anyway.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. Like, no, you're right, because I'm terrified all the time, like constantly terrified. I'm like,
moving forward.
Yes, but I'm like, listen, just keep putting the next foot in front. Like, this is going to pass. Like, whatever this is, like, I'm going to get there. I don't know when. But one day I will be there, and then I'll breathe better. Like,
and I think that's the experienced business owner, or experienced mother, or experienced any type of new role, title, position that we've given ourselves, right? Like when you're a new mom, I'm just talking about moms.
Oh, so true.
We're like, when you're a new mom, everything terrifies you. If I pick up the child wrong, if the child is coughing, if the baby is doing this thing, everything's terrifying. Now by like child number 3,
you're like, whatever.
They're like hacking up along. You're like, you good? Yeah. All right. Love you, sweet pea. Good night. You know,
right,
like,
exactly. It's true.
The fear starts to dissipate.
It does. You get better at it.
Yes.
Yeah, you get better at it. Like, you're like, no, I know what happens after this.
Yes.
Like, I think before, you don't really have any wherewithal of like, what actually happens if I do this?
Correct.
And so once you've done it a few times, then it's like, oh no, I know what happens.
You know, one of the scariest things to me as a business owner, it just happened not too long ago, is I got audited by the IRS.
Oh God, that's my nightmare.
So listen, it was my nightmare too. I was like so scared that I was going to be going to jail. Like that was that was my
I was like debtor's prison or whatever. Like, where they put you?
Right?
They're not sending you there. A work camp. Like, what is this? 1930s England.
And that's how I was so scared.
Yeah.
And then when I got through it, number 1, I won the audit, which felt so good. And then number 2, I'm like, this, like, if it ever happens again, I'm like, it's part of business.
Right.
It's part of when you make money, when you make a certain amount of money.
It can happen. It can happen.
As long as you got all your receipts. Like, I learned so much from the process.
Yeah.
That now when I get like a letter from the IRS, I don't want to like vomit. I'm like, oh, what's up, homies? Like, what we got today?
I know. Really, it's true. It's true. Oh my God, though, we were audited one time, and it was ridiculous. And it was on our personal side. We were very young, like first married, and we got an audit from the IRS, and it was because they actually didn't apply our tax payment that we had sent in to our account. I don't know why. They did something wrong, but it came back on us.
Like, and you had the heart
attack. Then we had, and I was like, that's it. We're hiring an accountant, and I'm never doing my own taxes again, like ever. And so that was the end of that. I was like, oh my gosh, like, what? Why? And of course, you know, you're like in your early 20s, so that's like very scary. Yes. You're like, what is this adulting? It's so hard. I was like, not it. I'm out.
Tap, you're in.
Right, exactly. Like, can I unsubscribe? We didn't even have unsubscribe back then.
That's right. That's right.
If I knew that word, I would have been like, I'm unsubscribing to adulting. This is not okay.
All right, next question. How do you project your business in the future? I know you guys are just now starting to get the design build off the ground running. Like, talking to other business owners who are wanting to grow and scale their business, whether they're hiring a team or they're trying to do marketing, what are some things that you're either planning on doing or that you've done that you're like, this was a really good...
Okay, so we're really spoiled, I have to tell you. Yeah. Like, I acknowledge that we're really spoiled. All of our business is word of mouth and repeat clientele. And we've been working, because we worked with my dad and my husband worked with my dad for so long, like, it's a lot of networking. So what we continue to do is to continue to network and in person with people.
Where do you go to network? Because I think that's a great...
Honestly, it's social. It's all social. Like, it's
online?
like no, like
like going out to barbecues,
people we know, like pool party. But it's like our clients will have a pool party and invite us.
So you have a strong relationship with
very
your
strong relationships.
To see you at the pool parties.
Yes. So I mean, thank goodness, knock on wood, They love us. So, so we get a lot of referrals just from other clients and all of our friends end up wanting to be our clients, which is also amazing.
Yeah.
So you get to work with people that you like and people that really want to support your business because they know that you put out a quality product and that's the level that they want. And that they expect. And, you know, like we're so happy to do it for them. Like we're building a kitchen right now for some of our best friends, which is really such a cool project. And it's really great because it's like across the street from our house. So like my husband can be home to let the kids, you know, get them out the door. And then, you know, then I can take my time to come to podcast. Yes. Because literally he's walking across the street to the job, which is great. And then he checks on that job for a couple hours in the morning and then he'll go to another job, you know. So yeah, I think fostering relationships is one of the best tools that we have, and it's free.
Yeah.
Like that's amazing.
And how do you foster relationships? Because it comes natural to you, obviously, because you're not overthinking it just from listening to how you're speaking about it. But like for somebody who maybe is like
for like a shy person.
Break it down? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think when you care, it shows. So when you talk to people, you are listening to them. Are you responding to them? And is there something that you do that can help them? And when you identify that need, you can, you know, like it's nothing for me to be like, oh, I'll give you like, hey, this is a little piece of advice. Like, here's that. And you can reach out in any way that you can connect. It's about making connections, right? So you want to connect to people. And I think that helps. And then I think for introverts is maybe a little bit more taxing, right? So you have to put yourself in that suit during the day and then give yourself space if you're an introvert to retreat at night or wherever, like so that you can regroup because you're going to have to keep doing this on repeat.
You an introvert?
Not really, but after the pandemic, I mean, we suffered a lot.
Very
No, but like the pandemic, I went through a lot of trauma during the pandemic. So after that, I did revert to a little bit of being an introvert. I used to be so extroverted, and I've learned that it can tax me.
Yeah.
So like, you know, post-trauma Mia is not the same as pre-trauma Mia. So that is really hard to learn how to redefine yourself. So it is a lot like an introvert having to like put the show on because when you're dealing with grief and a lot of heavy emotions, it can make you want to turn into yourself. Yeah. So you do have to still push yourself to get out there and like be human and connect and, you know, work through it. And it is healthy and good for us, but sometimes exhausting.
Do you feel comfortable talking about the post and the pre? What happened in between?
Sure. I mean, we lost a baby. Yeah. At 15 weeks, we named her Mia, or no, Mila, after me, but not really. But yes, no, I'm Mia. She was Mila. So Mila for Milagro, because she was a miracle. They told us we would not get pregnant on our own. We have 2 boys, but we struggled to get them and then never tried or didn't try ever again. Yeah. And 8 years later, we were pregnant and I knew she was a girl. Yeah. And then I lost her and it was horrible. It was really, really bad. So, you know, we've been trying ever since and still no luck. Yeah. But we'll see what comes in 2024. My kids are old, so it's like completely starting over. And my husband's like, what are you doing? But I said to him, I go, honey, we're starting this new business. If we're going to be wealthy, I might as well be wealthy with the baby. I'm like, just give me what I want. It's fine. Money makes everything better.
And
oh my
babies,
God. I'm like, I'm just gonna get my baby. I don't know how we're gonna figure it out. But I feel like I always have looked at my life like in reverse. Do you ever do that?
I do.
I feel like I envision myself more often than not as an old lady looking back on my life and thinking what I would want from my life at this time right now.
I think that's such an amazing exercise and beautiful thing to do. Explain how you do it. Yeah.
Okay, so the vision in my head is this big, long farm table, like very long. And I have that table, so I plan to fill it. It's in the warehouse right now. And my parents brought it back from France. It's gorgeous. Anyway, it's actually super not gorgeous. It's like really, really just super simple, but I love it. And I just have this vision of this giant long table and all my kids and grandkids at this table. And I want to see that table full, like always full, and laughter and food and all the things, and flowers, because I love flowers. But
freshly cut flowers.
Yeah, of course. I'll take any, to be honest. I like fake, whatever. I do a lot of faux flowers. I'll do anything, and a lot of flowers. So I have like this vision of this beautiful table and all this family, and I want that. Yeah. And so when we lost Mila, I was like, you know what? Like, I always wanted a third baby, but I kind of had written it off. So I got myself a Jack Russell puppy, and then like 2 months later, I got pregnant. So I was like, I'm old. I'm gonna get a puppy because I'm not having my other baby, my third baby. And then anyway, it kind of opened this window where my husband was like, because he was like adamant, like 2 is fine, we're done. And I was like, no, I'm not done. Yeah. And then after losing her, he's like, okay, you can have another one. I was like, okay. I'm like, now I have to manifest it. I've been manifesting so hard on that one. That's the hardest one. Listen, it is so much easier to make a successful business than it is to have a baby at 40. Like, don't take it for granted, people. Aww. Like, yeah. So, but everything is hard work. And I feel like if you try hard enough, you will find a path to success. So that's kind of the way I go. And more often than not, it's not the path that you think it's going to be when you start the journey. And that goes for fertility, that goes for business, that goes for life and parenting and all the other things. Like, and driving, because I always get lost the first time.
Even always. With the navigation.
Yeah, even with the navigation. Listen, one time I followed Google Maps to Manassas, and I was like, why am I here? I left Arlington. I was trying to come back to Leesburg. I'm like, what is going on? What is going on?
You know, my worst thing is putting together those IKEA. You're probably like, shame on you for even getting IKEA. But putting together IKEA
furniture?
Anything,
oh, I love it.
For me, I'll say, okay, guys, if I'm doing it with somebody, just so you know, I'm going to put it together wrong the first time. Know that this is going to take me 2 or 3 times, and then we're going to get it.
And then we'll get it.
Every time.
Oh my God. I'll send one of my sons to your house. My kids love putting together furniture. Oh my gosh. I ordered like some little kit for the beach house, like on my parents' beach house, like on Amazon. And I'm like, Gabe, you want to help me put this together? He was 9 at the time, and he's like putting the thing together with all the little, little screws and the little Allen wrenches. And he's like, Mom, I really love doing this stuff.
Well, you can get paid for
I'm
it,
like,
I'm
okay.
pretty sure that's like a thing that people hate doing.
Oh my gosh, we're all Lego builders in our house. We love putting together things, following directions, love it. I don't know, awesome. It speaks to us. But yeah, so I think we just like, and I like to create things.
I was going to say it's a creation thing.
It is.
What would you give, what type of resources would you tell a business owner who is wanting to learn more?
Yeah.
What is something that you're like, this book, this podcast, this...
Oh my gosh, I wish I did read any of these things. You are so, I'm way...
YouTube video creator,
oh my God.
Anything.
Okay, so is this bad? Okay, the only Instagram influencers that I watch are fashion ones for clothes.
Makes sense. That's why you're so cute.
It's an outlet for me. I'm like, ooh, that's cute. You want to be more creative in business. I don't know who to tell you to watch, to be honest, because I don't watch them. I don't read about them. Because it's kind of like, You don't
want the noise?
It's kind of noise. It's more work, so it's not pleasurable for me. I do occasionally read my trade publications that come in. I have one called Business of Home, and I will read the articles that come in there. They're kind of interesting because it gives me a pulse on what the big brands are doing. I don't know, when Bed Bath & Beyond shut down a ton of stores, they'll write about that, or they'll write about certain brands, that we buy from or whatever, and what their business model is, or who sold to what business. And so it's kind of interesting, but I don't always like to watch, I don't watch any design shows. None. I don't.
Not even that, what's her name?
Joanna Gaines? Oh, no.
Allie Galix?
Nope, I don't even know who she is.
She's so cute.
Is she? I don't even know who she is. I don't watch them. It's work.
She's just cute, though.
Is she?
Does this,
I'm
sure.
She does
these cute, little trends as she's, transitions. I mean, as she's, doing her Instagram videos.
Oh, my God,
she's
cute.
very humble, and so, yeah.
Oh.
I think everybody will like her.
I know.
So.
Well, I'll have to look her up. Like, I literally never watch them. I'll like scroll through and I rarely do watch. I do participate in a lot of Facebook groups. One of the things that I learn a lot from is being part of like trade groups. So I'm in 2 different ones for interior designers and interior design sourcing. National or international. I think we've got people from England and stuff in there. So it is very interesting to see the kinds of questions that come up in there. And it's great just to get feedback from people in your industry. So it's more personal, I think, than reading necessarily about others, because you're reading about them, but they themselves are telling you, the audience, and you have a chance to respond, and then they'll respond. So, you get a lot of people who will have like challenges with certain types of clients, or challenges with wording in contracts, or challenges with like, hey, this design isn't working, and I'm out of ideas. So there's a lot of collaboration in those kinds of groups, and I enjoy that kind of engagement. As far as like reading things, I read mostly news. Like if I'm going to read, I'll read news, which is, I don't know. Sometimes I want to know. I know. I don't love news,
reading, anything, but sometimes I got to get a little bit cultured on what's going on in the world.
In the world, yeah, exactly. So I like read a lot of news, like New York Times and Washington Post, like articles, but not all the time. Like, but every once in a while, that's what I'll be reading. So I'll come up with like it's usually medical or sciencey articles that really catch my attention.
Yeah.
That or global warming or, anything that has to do with environment.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things. I'm like, oh,
You're on it.
What's happening? Politics. Oh God. Love it. I love, hate it.
You're like, this is like my drama.
Oh my God. It is. It's like some people have Bravo and I'm like, what does the Washington Post think about the politics this week? I'm like, ooh, that's good. But I'm like, I hate it, but I love it.
Yeah.
You're
hilarious. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Where do you see yourself? Where do you see your business besides little baby in your arm?
Right. Yes. No, it'll be a girl.
Oh, that's right.
And she'll be like 8. She'll be like 8 or 9 in 10 years. Yeah, she should be 9. And so I'll have a 9-year-old. We'll be going to the 3rd grade. I'll be volunteering in that classroom.
There we go.
Doing something ridiculous. Right. And I think definitely... I
could see you being like the snack mom.
Oh my God, I love
packaging the food.
Are you kidding? I love it.
Cute, like Halloween parties. You're gonna have all
that would be so nice. I would love to. So yeah, hopefully I'll be working less. I know a lot of people are like, wait, but you're a businesswoman. Yeah. But like, I want to work less in my next life with my next kid.
Yeah.
But I want to, I'll be living in my house that my husband will build me, because that's the plan. I don't know where it is, but he's going to build me a really cool house, because he always keeps saying,
10 years. We got 10 years.
Oh, no, like I'm giving him like a 5-year deadline. I'm like, I want that new house.
You'll have been living in for 5 years by now.
So exactly. So I'll have like that. I'll probably be repainting something, because that happens every 5 years. So if it's 5 years old, I'll have to repaint like 50% or 100% of the house. And I think that would be really good. And hopefully we'll have time to take more vacations with our kids and enjoy more family time. And I want that big table. Like,
you've got the table, right?
I got the table. It's just in the warehouse. It will be in the house and full. Like really full. Yes.
Well, hang on a second. 10 years. You don't want the kids having grandbabies.
No, I don't want grandbabies in 10 years. But like, I want like their girlfriends and like, you know what I mean? Like I want, because my oldest is 15, so he'll be 25. Like he could be married maybe.
Yeah.
Like we married young. If he stays with his girlfriend, he keeps saying he's going to marry her. I'm like, really? How do you know? But I have to say, I knew too. Yeah. I knew. My husband and I have been together since we were 16 and 17. And
there we go.
I knew. And I think secretly he knew, because, literally one time, we had been dating for about a year at this point, and he had gone away to college, and I was still a senior in high school. Maybe it was like a little over a year, because, I was junior, senior, so it was a year. And he says to me, I could see myself marrying you. And I was like, what?
Say it again.
What? I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah,
I think I took those words and I held on to them like a jockey holds the reins in a race. I'm like, oh my God, I'm holding on to this to the finish line. Like, it will happen. And of course, it did.
Yeah. How old were you when you got married?
Oh, we were so young. We were like 22 and 22.
But you've been together for 6 years, 7 years. So.
Yeah. I mean, it was a long time by then, right?
Yeah.
But like, by by now standards,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God, we were so young.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would really advise that for anyone. I don't know that I would give myself that advice. But I was like chomping at the bit to marry that man. I don't even know why.
Well, you do now.
I mean, I still love him.
Build you a home, and he wants to give you that third baby.
Oh my God. Yes, exactly. Like, let me tell you, he has built every one of my dreams, every one of my crazy, like, weird ideas. And he's like, you need to stop having ideas. I'm like, well, you keep building them, so I'm going to keep having them.
That's amazing that you have such a supportive, strong foundation.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. And like, we're like very like partners. We're very like in it together. And when he's not being a very partner, I'm like, hey, you need to be partner on this.
That's right. It's all about communication.
That's right. That's right. So it's definitely getting there. I don't know. It's nice to be able to have somebody that like it's ride or die, you know, like for life. Like, you know that you are going to overcome every obstacle together. And some days it's really hard.
Yeah, those obstacles are really big.
They're really big, and it's really hard. And it just gets harder. Like, the more adulting you have to do, the more hard the problems become.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like it.
But the more solutions you
Yes, it's true. Yeah, you can. I mean, it's beautiful, though. Like, the growth, it hurts, but it's actually beautiful. And I think at the end, when I have my big table and everyone is sitting at my table, he better be there next to me. Like, that's it.
Building the extension to the table.
That's right. I'm like, we're going to need a leaf.
That's right. That's right, the leaf.
Maybe some of those breadboards that like flip up on the end.
That's
yeah,
right.
I need some of those. He'll be like, oh, why?
Have any parting words for the audience? Anything special that you want to share? Or just a little piece of advice besides... find your person.
Find your person. Number one, find a good partner. That could be business partner. That could be life partner, whatever it is. Make sure that they're a partner, though, because you need that. That kind of support is key. The other thing I think is don't give up on taking from this life what you want, because it's not guaranteed that it's going to be handed to you. And you have to try to get it, and you'll surprise yourself, because if you try, you'll probably get it. Like, a lot of people have always looked at me like, and they're like, how does she keep doing all these projects at her house? How does she keep doing this or whatever? I have an idea and I try, and then I will work for that goal because I want it bad enough. And if you want anything bad enough, it is within your reach if you just figure out how to navigate your way there. There's so many different roads. Pick one, and when it stops, turn and pick another one, but keep going. Just keep going. That's the best advice I've got.
I love that. Thank you so much for being on our episode today, sharing pieces of your story. I want a picture in 10 years
of my table.
And
you can be at it.
I was going to say, maybe I can come visit. Yes. That leaf up there.
It's a big table.
There we go. That's so beautiful. Thanks so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.